Okay, I'm gonna do a TA video tonight. I'm gonna try to make it short and sweet. Don't really know if I can do that, but I'm gonna try anyway. So I'm thinking anywhere between 30 minutes, give or take. Um, but I got a lot going on over here. You see this little red zone right here? I think that's the major gap. We're gonna fill that one day. Well, I think we're gonna go from like once we break through around $8, I think we should pretty much just bust through that and go straight to 15. We could break that, but most of the demand, as far as the order book is concerned, level 3 data, most of the supply is at around $10, which pretty much makes this area relevant. Um, so I really can't say it'll just bust through that, but I don't think the $8 is as relevant as it seems. I do not think so. I think the $10 is relevant, $15 relevant according to the order book. I just don't think this $8 is as relevant as it shows itself to be. Um. Anyways, I got cycle analysis on here. I got smart money concepts. I got algorithms. I got forecasts. I got you name it. I got it. I'm all in one, right? Um, but let's clean up some shit right here though, real quick. Trash, trash. I just needed to pinpoint the locations of these signals that way I could get a good representation of them, looking forward, from the past, right? So there's correlation, causation, causation, correlation. Which one is it? So I want to keep these three on though. These are my main ones. Um, so typically with cycle analysis, right, you got the trough. A left-handed translation means that it's a bearish cycle. A right-handed translation means it's a bullish cycle, kind of like how the price started off low right here. When this trough started moving up, peaked out here, and it rolled over. As long as the end of the trough is higher than the beginning, then that's a right-handed translation. Now, when the beginning of the trough is higher than the end of the trough, then that's the left-handed translation. So it's pretty much higher highs, higher lows. So there you go. Um, it's about money flow and stuff like that. You got a low point here. It was probably one in this zone right here, and a top right here, topped in the minor cycle as well as the dominant cycle. You have it here and here with the minor cycle and the dominant cycle. So it's just a thing, right? Here goes Elliott wave theory. Technically, I think the third wave or the fifth wave is supposed to be longer than the first wave, the second wave. So kind of looks a little screwed up here, but it's pretty much the pattern that I see unfolding. If I was to incorporate that into what I have already. So let's zoom in here. Now there's a huge divergence going on. There's a minor divergence here between the hyperwave. Right, it's like an oscillator, price action. This one right here is like a cup type of divergence. It's creating this round like shape, right? So yeah, it's like a round. It's like a fucking. Let's get the drawing tool out. Let's see here. And then handle, and then breakout $15. Right? Maybe, but I'm not projecting that right now. There is that cup of handle scenario looking like it's gonna want to do it, right? All right, so what I'm looking at here in the short term, you can't project the price in the short term. Yeah, you can. It's either going to go up or down. Which one are you comfortable with? All right, so here you go. I don't think it's going to go sideways. I mean, it has here, 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 right? But I think it's either going to go, where it's at, peak at right here at the $2.55 level, bust down, retest the low, right? Try to come back up and get to maybe around $2.30 and then break down and hit right here around the $1.80. When I say $1.80, I mean a 1.8 anything. 5, 0, 3, 2, 8. Just in the 80 cent range area, right? Then after that, we could probably see it try to work its way up, and follow this pattern. But this would be a negative setup, even though it's a positive outlook for the direction, right? So that's going to be that one. And let's see here. Then the positive one, which is the one I'm betting on, right? It's going to be the one that goes up here, breaks through that resistance zone, test the top or the bottom of the gap, retest the resistance zone, break that, test the top of the gap. Now it can either come sideways or break down, or it could break up and test the $4 range and then come back down and test the same area again, which is probably going to be within that gap zone. Around I would say 350, give or take 10 cents. That zone-ish right there. But once we hold that as support, this is going to be another buying opportunity right here, just like how this one was. Now, regardless if it's 80 cents or 250, the buying opportunity, according to my analysis, is going to be somewhere towards the end of January, right? Retail, they don't know anything about this type of shit. Hell, even technical analysis, other individuals, they don't know anything about what I'm doing here. This is like very unique. If it follows through and it plays out, then that'll be awesome, right? If it don't, then it was just a good guess. But either way it goes, this is what my forecast is. Just like the weatherman predicting out 2 weeks in advance. I'm about as good as he is. Let's see if I can get it right. Maybe he can do a better job than I can. Let me show him his graph. All right. So, anyways, I think that within this time frame, right here, there's going to be a buying opportunity, right? That's when volatility peaks and the price and all of the other cycles start bottoming out. If not, they already are in an uptrend because the monthly is in an uptrend, the 2 week is in a downtrend. But around this time right here, it kind of bottoms out, starts to, anyways. But by then, you got the daily and the 3 day, as well as the algorithms and other forecasting being done, suggesting the same thing too, as well as psychoanalysis is suggesting it also. This is the end of the trough right here. This is going to be a bottom zone for the minor cycle, right? So taking in all the evidence, all the due diligence, all the TA, right? Smart money concept, right? Order book, fucking divergence, discount zones, intrinsic value calculation. Let's bring that up. Intrinsic value calculation. Let's find CLOV, right? Mm-hmm. What do we have here? I don't feel it. It was trying to. That was kind of weird. How's it all lit up now? Wasn't like that earlier. Okay. Anyways, I mean, you can't do nothing about the share count. It's always going to stay the same. Like as far as it's always going to be updated. You might want to double check it though, but still, yeah. I think for the most part we're all right. The $2.49. That was the price it was closed at. It is what it is, right? Things you could probably change if you're bullish or bearish. You can adjust, right? Free cash flow will probably be one, but I'm more focused on the growth rate. I seen growth rate targets up to like 50% within the next 3 to 5 years. But I'm going to be, I guess, conservative when it comes to that. I'm thinking that 30% is pretty much an all around number, right? So let's do 30%. I was going to do 35%, but I really don't want to. So I just want to have a little bit more safety, right? Um, so we're going to do 30%, and we're going to do the advanced matrix, which suggests minimum is $5. There's that Boeing 747, right? at base, and then there's that $10, give or take, right? 1151 or whatever, right? For the absolute high within the base case. Let's see what the bear case looks like. $3.80. 5 7. Okay. Recession. $2. Pretty much where it's at. I've bottomed out like at what 210 twice or almost twice, like 215 or some shit like that. So pretty much selling for the recession case at the growth rate of 30%. With the free cash flow staying the same. So let's look at the best case scenario. Best case scenario says almost $20, right? There goes that $15 range right there. You can kind of round it around, right? You use all the due diligence that we have with technical analysis, try to like add it into the fundamental analysis. You would say that like that $5 range would be the minimum, that $15 range would be the top, and that $10 range would be the base, right? At least that's the way I'm looking at it. So yeah, that's my expectations within the next year or two is probably going to get to the base case scenario and rotate in between $5 to $10, somewhere in between there. But with the next year or two, I wouldn't be surprised to see $10 by the end of next year, exactly 1 year from now. So yeah, that's the intrinsic value calculation. I just hope that they continue to do good. All right. So back to the TA. So yeah, it looks like we're going to have a local bottom within this time frame right here, because by then the 2 week cycle is going to start pushing up, and then you already got the monthly cycle up. Then you're going to have the 1 day and the 3 day all going up simultaneously. It's pretty much like they're all going up, except the monthly has been up. So that's a good sign. The monthly all being up, as long as they don't roll over, we're good. You want to have all of them pumping up at the same time, because that's pretty much what happened over here. Let me put that to where it went. What the hell? Delete that. Okay. So yeah. So you had the green one with them is the monthly cycle, right? It's a down into oversold territory. You had the 2 week cycle in the oversold territory. You had fucking volatility, man, was up in the atom twice here and here. It's above this 80% line, so or 80 mark line, so it's going to be like the overbought, which is in volatility means damn, there's a bottom coming in soon. So vice versa with this divergence with the hyperwave, right? Suggesting the oscillator was making higher highs and higher lows. So that's a divergence there. Then you got an oversold area here, right? With cash flow. Um, so yeah, like all these ingredients, you had all of these like a sniper, right? All of these line up and converge, right, together into an upward slope. So that's the bullish. And anything above this middle line right here is considered to be an uptrend, right? You could pretty much see it as volatility does not pass this 50-degree mark right here, where this money flow is for the overbought or the oversold. This is pretty much the center. This is the over. This is the under. And it never really crosses above that 50% mark up until about right here. That was probably like a buy and add to your position or whatever. Um, but if you were going to do covered calls in the wheel strategy, it's going to be a little bit different. You want confirmation on the topping pattern, so you would look for a divergence, how you would look for one right here in order to buy, add to position, one large sum or something. I wouldn't put all all my cash flow into one buy though. I would never do that. So yeah, it looks kind of like that. So you got everything bottoming out right here on the time frames. You got other uh, signals going off. You take them as secondary, third class, third confirmation signals, right? That's what these red and green lines are, depending on where they're located. If they're located to an area something like this, I would take it more significantly, right? Versus if these went off while it was like, can I get an example? Uh, well, if there was a green and then there was a topping phase and it had a green mark, you know, it's like, nah, that's not the right time. It's common sense, really. Um, so yeah, back to it over here. I see two buying opportunities before we blast off, and I think this buying opportunity is not going to be as low as this one. I think this is going to be the absolute low buying opportunity. It's going to be around the end of January. If I'm wrong, then this one could be another bottoming zone, and it'll probably be a head and shoulders pattern or something like that. Because then this one will go down to 280, and then it'll probably go up, and then create like a kind of like what it did right here, right, with this head and shoulders pattern all over again right here. But I'm not betting my money on that. I'm betting my money for a higher low and a higher high, and then a higher low, and then a higher high. I believe this is going to be a right-handed translation. Well, let's see how it works out. 15 minutes. Well, 16 minutes. Pretty good. Catch y'all later.